slime is gone, cuties are free to emerge and frolic with abandon. Navigate that disgusting waste and go save the cuties.
Oh shit. Alright. Well. What are we doing now? Okay. Okay.
Goodness, what on earth are those? I don't like them. Oh, they're not cute at all. Kill them, will you? Kill them all.
Yeah, okay. Torque. Oh shit. Okay.
Sounds like something big is in that container.
Jesus Christ. Only the guns were, like, I don't know, accurate. Like, the bullets would go where the fuck you shoot them. Yeah, alright. And I can't jump. Stuck.
Get away! Get!
Christ, dude.
It's even more disgusting than the smaller ones. Kill it. Hack it to pieces. Shred it with bullets. Kill.
Bro.
Kill.
Oh my god, what? Okay. I don't know why I even care to do this. What was that? Why did I go flying? Oh, holy shit. Yeah, alright. They just like get stuck inside the fucking walls and shit.
Front of Concordia. Nature triumphs once more. And if I've learned anything, it's that nature always wins. Come back and I'll pay you for your valuable work.
Oh my god, shut up, dude. What? I just dropped 2 fucking guns. Can I pick it up now? Jesus Christ.
Attention, breathable atmosphere.
Bro. Okay. Oh shit, okay. So that stuff is not good. Probably should have guessed that. Alright, now where are we going back to? I'll tell you one thing.
Like, there's some parts of the combat that is kind of fun. For the most part, I'm not really enjoying myself. It's not like a fun game. Like, it's really not a fun game. How far am I going? Oh, Jesus. Alright, well, GG's, I guess. It's, what are my thoughts? Well, my thoughts are, it's not a good story game. I don't know. It's got no story whatsoever in it. I mean, realistically. Because it's all filler content. It's all bullshit. It's like, there's a quest inside of a quest inside of a quest inside of a quest inside of a quest. It's the cheapest form of quest giving that is invented by mankind. It is slapped together from Borderlands assets, a cheap, shitty fucking quest line thrown into it, and then you're just like expected to come up with your own reason to play the game. That's just. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's not fun. I tell you what, Cyberpunk is like way more fun of a storyline to play through. Witcher 3, way more fun of a storyline to play through. Red Dead Redemption 2, much better storyline to play through. But Skyrim, obviously, great storyline to play through. And the list, there's such a long list of great storylines to play through that I feel like, yeah, I probably have a tainted perspective because I'm looking for a good storyline. I mean, here's the problem, is if you want to have some sort of arena type shooter where the storyline doesn't really matter and it's kind of just bang bang, shoot 'em up, explosion, like, right, then make the game about that. Like, look at Doom Eternal. Like, look at Doom. Look how Doom does it. Doom does it right. It is constant action the whole time. You have to fucking focus on your ammo. They designed the game very well around being just straight combat driven with, I mean, and yes, you can say it has a shallow storyline, but Doom is not about the storyline. It's about the intricate combat, how it's a puzzle. It's puzzle combat, right? Because you have to fucking make sure that you're hitting each enemy with a specific weapon that is its weaknesses. You're conserving ammo. You're using the abilities and the things that you're given to generate ammo properly. You are playing the game correctly, right? In order to do really good in fucking Doom, you have to play the game correctly, and it has a theme that makes sense when you stick to it, and it works, right? And they totally abandon the storyline for combat, and they do that right? This game, it seems to have the same desire to totally abandon a storyline to favor a sort of combat-driven game, but then it doesn't realistically give you much combat that is enjoyable. Because here's the problem with this game, is they intended to increase the difficulty by making the weapons inaccurate and random shots. Like, I don't want to be shooting a loot box weapon. I don't want to shoot a weapon that has a 4%, like a 5% chance of hitting the enemy, or a 20% chance of hitting the enemy, or a 60% chance. That's not fun. Who the fuck thinks that's fun? Like, I point the gun at the enemy with the crosshair on it. I want the bullet to fucking hit the enemy. End of fucking story, right? But this game, in order to attempt to falsify difficulty, they make the weapons inaccurate. Random chance to hit the enemy. Whereas in Doom, you point the gun and the bullet, the projectile, the whatever you're shooting out of it goes directly where your crosshair is going. Whether you're jumping, you're dashing, you're moving, it doesn't matter. And now I can understand, say, you make a game like Counter-Strike, where you're like, well, when you move, you get a penalty of movement that decreases accuracy. Okay, that's not this game. I can stand perfectly still, and it'll have the same exact accuracy percentages if I'm moving. So it's not even that. It's simply an effort to make the game seem harder. But it's not harder. It's just more annoying and not fun. And I don't appreciate that. It feels like a giant waste of my time on purpose. Like the game is purposefully wasting my time. And I don't like to feel like that. It is not enjoyable. I don't appreciate it. The quest line is very shallow and stupid, and it feels again like it's wasting my fucking time. I don't like that either. It's sending me on these dumb little fucking random shithole missions that are realistically, they're so stupid. It's like, go talk to this person, and then they're gonna tell you to go put this thing on this other thing, and then you're gonna have to climb up this, jump across that, in this real. It's like it's a game that has no idea what it's trying to do, what game it's trying to be. You know what I mean? Is it trying to? And it's not. It ends up falling into a spot where it's not fun at all, and it really just feels pandering. That's the word for it. It's pandering. The game is pandering, and it's not enjoyable. It would be so much more fun and enjoyable if the weapons were accurate, if the vehicles actually jumped across, like the gravity doesn't affect the vehicle the same way it affects the fucking person, and it has never been fixed. I read and people talked about it back in 2014, and they haven't fixed it ever, not once, not even an attempt to do it, right? And you can talk a lot of shit about Cyberpunk if you want. It's a great game, an amazing storyline, and it has great voice acting, great character acting. It really draws you into the storyline, and it had bugs. It did when it first launched. It had a lot of them. Most of them were not game breaking. There's some funny ones. I had a few bugs happen to me where I couldn't 100% the game the first time through because the mission was impossible to complete, but I went through it again and 100%ed it on a second run. You know, I got 100% of the achievements unlocked in Cyberpunk. Why? Because it was a very enjoyable game. It was very fun to play. The actors made it believable. It was engrossing. It pulled you along. You couldn't wait to find out what happened next. Just like when you sit down to watch a good TV show, like a really good TV show, and at the end of every episode, you just want to turn on another episode because it's gripping and it pulls you along in the storyline. The actors are selling it. The whole entire story has got all these open ends, and you really want to fucking find a conclusion to it all. And that's how Cyberpunk felt the whole time. And it really annoys me that people got so fucking upset about the bugs in Cyberpunk because the game was about a story. And it was about bringing you along a storyline. And I know they sold this whole package. Forget the marketing and all the bullshit they did, and play the game for the game, and you'll really be surprised at how amazing the storyline is in in Cyberpunk. I've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike lately. It got stuck in my head. But this game right here, like it lacks anything that makes you want to play a game. It's not that great of a shooter. It's got not that good of a storyline. It doesn't make you interested in what happens next. There's no stakes. There's literally no stakes. Like, I saw a rocket hit their spaceship and they crashed into, and one person survived. It's you. And I'm like, what is happening? And now you're saving this guy named Jack, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, we need to turn on the defense system to save the ship. And I'm like, okay. Oh, well, we can't do that because the planet, for some reason, is jamming it. So go down there and turn off the jammer. You land on the planet. This chick's like, oh, you're dying. Let me save you. Oh, hey, by the way, because I saved you, I need you to go on this whole nother mission and kill this guy. And you're like, okay, well, there's a giant spaceship I'm trying to save, but yeah, why not? I'll fucking go kill this guy. And she's like, okay, now I'll help you get into the city. You go into the fucking city, and what is it there? Oh, hey, run around the city and do all these menial tasks. And so you spend over an hour of your time just running back and forth doing stupid, meaningless shit to appease somebody. And I don't know. There's no substance. There's literally no substance. It gives nothing to me. It doesn't pull me into the story. There's not good voice acting. There's not good acting in general. There's no stakes. I don't know why the fuck any of this is happening. There's no reason for me to keep playing. I don't give a shit, right? It hasn't given me a reason to give a shit, and therefore I don't give a shit. Now, I know there's a lot of Borderlands fanboys, fangirls out there, and that's fine. Enjoy your game. You're totally entitled to your opinion. I am completely entitled to my opinion, and my opinion is that when I play a game, I want it to be good. That's the reason that I stopped playing Shadow of War, because the combat was insulting. It was so fucking easy, but when they tried to make it more difficult, instead of making the combat actually into a difficult combat, right? Like Elden Ring, I would consider the combat to be difficult. Okay, but in Shadow of War, instead of making it more a skill-based combat system to where when they could actually improve the difficulty with a more skillful AI. No, they didn't change the way the AIs work. They just throw more of them at you, like a zombies game. It's like I'm playing Call of Duty Zombies, and they're just like, okay, in order to make it more difficult, we're gonna send 4 bosses at him all at the same time, along with 15 different fucking grunt enemies, and then there's gonna be these javelin and archers on the walls around him, all throwing shit at him, and it's like this mosh pit of chaos where you're not even actually able to do much fucking attacking. You're kind of rolling around and dodging. It's bad. It's just bad. It's a bad system. And then it on top of that, it the Shadow of War, the same thing as this. It doesn't give you any substance. There's no reason, no good voice acting, no good anything to make you interested in what happens next. It's like they're like, oh, let's save the city, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I really actually don't give a fuck, right? Like honestly, like they haven't given. There's no reason to give a shit about the city, about anything, about the orcs attacking. It's like this game, these games that I played here, it seems like operate on a basis of assuming that the player already has convinced themselves that they want to complete the whole game, right? In order to complete this whole game, you have to come into this game having already decided in your mind that you like it and you want to complete it, because then all the shit and the bullshit that you have to go through, it will seem much less like important. It'll seem way more menial to you as and easy to overcome, easy to fucking bypass, easy to fucking push through. But unless you come into it already being a fanboy of Borderlands, or already being a fanboy of the Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor series, right? Unless you're already a fanboy of those coming into it, you're not going to finish it. You're not even going to like the game. So like I didn't even finish Shadow of Mordor, and it was the same thing as Shadow of War. Okay, it was a game that existed just to play it. They didn't have a good storyline. They didn't have compelling story. They didn't have good voice acting. They didn't have good acting in general. There was no it didn't build upon itself. It didn't draw you forward into the story. And if you're building a story, it was a game that existed to play it, right? Which it's just like there's so in a gaming market where there's not many games to play, right? Where gaming is scarce, then that's allowed. You're allowed to have a game that exists just to play in a gaming market where gaming is scarce. But when you have a gaming market like there is today, where you have many different genres and you have some extremely intricate and well done games in every single genre that really are gripping, that really pull you, that make you want to complete the storyline, that make you want to go forward, and it makes the games that don't do it very well seem like they're so much worse than they are, right? Like Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War, are they realistically bad games? No. But when you compare them next to a Witcher 3 or a Cyberpunk or a Red Dead Redemption 2 or a Skyrim, or the list goes on, when you compare those games next to each other, right, it's no contest. And the problem with this game and Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, these games that I can't bring myself to spend the time to finish, the reasoning is because these are attempting to be a story-driven game, because that's what they're giving me. They're not giving me like a Doom Eternal. It was completable, and I completed. And I went for like to try to get all the fucking I tried to get all of the achievements in it, but I ended up on the campaign ones because the multiplayer was unplayed. No one played the multiplayer, so I couldn't get any of the multiplayer achievements. But I was trying to get all the campaign achievements. The only one that I couldn't get was going all through the hardest difficulty, right, and winning. Which, in the hardest difficulty, you die once, and it's game over. It's start over. And I got through a couple of the fucking levels of it, and then I took one burst, and I was dead. And it was all over, and I was done, right? I was like, I'm not gonna devote that much time to perfecting my gameplay in Doom. But it was a really fun game. I got every single camp. But besides the point, it did what it was trying to do. What was it trying to do? It was trying to be a combat-driven game with minimalistic attention to the storyline, which is fine. It's fine when the game actually does what it's setting out to do. But if you're setting out to be a story game, a story-driven game, where you're going to ask the player to do these different tasks, I mean, take Kingdom Come Deliverance, for example. Now, was Kingdom Come Deliverance all about combat? No, it wasn't. There's a large part of the game where you were walking around kind of like in this and doing menial tasks. But why was it okay for Kingdom Come Deliverance to make me go around and do menial tasks and do all these things? Because it was a story-driven game. I was very interested in what was going to happen to Henry next. I wanted to see how the story played out. I wanted to see what the end game was like in Kingdom Come Deliverance. It gave me a reason to be interested in it. It didn't make me come up with my own reason to like the game. No, it gave me a reason to like the game. From the very beginning, it was compelling and it draws you in, and like the first opening cutscene where your dad is a blacksmith and he's working on a sword, and then you wake up in your bed and your mom's there like waking you up, and she's like, you better go help your father. He's gonna be upset because you're a blacksmith's son, right? And it's a trade. Back in those days, it was all about tradesmanship, right? So if your dad was a blacksmith, then you were an apprentice and you became a blacksmith and took over your dad's business. That's how it worked. And she's like, your dad's been up working for hours. He's going to be really mad at you because you're slept in. Get up. And then you go through and you have this cool setup where you determine your starting ability points through a story that you're talking about with your mom, developing who you are, kind of giving a short background, which was enough to compel you to go outside and to go talk to your dad. And then he gave you a story, like where he gave you a compelling thing to go into town and grab and do a couple tasks. And it's like, okay, well, let me go see what this is all about. And then you go into the town and you end up talking to the couple guys. You have to get some money, so you go talk to Kunesh, and he doesn't want to give you the fucking shit, so you have to fight him. He beats you, and then you go right, and you have to. It gives you obstacles, and you have a reason to care about Henry right from the beginning, and it kind of pushes you forward. And even if once you go through and you complete those few little objectives, then boom, cutscene, and guess what happens? Invading army. Your fucking mom and dad die. You have to run immediately. And so now it's got stakes, and now it's got a twist, and now you need a conclusion. Now it's pushing you. You're running. You're getting away from the fucking invading army. You get to the next castle, right? And the whole time it's giving you these next. It's like a good TV show, right? That draws you into the next episode by having good writing, good acting, and a good ending to the episode that makes you want to go into the next one and the next one and the next one. It makes you binge the TV show. And in my opinion, if a game is trying to be a story game, it should be like that. It should give me, the player, a reason to play the game, right? Like a TV series. It's not like, you know what, a TV series that exists just to be there is not going to be one that's watched, right? A TV series must give you a reason to be interested in it. And it's just like a video game. It needs to give you a reason to be interested in it. And I have these games that I've gotten out of the VIP Pass, they just haven't given me a reason to be interested in them. And I mean, that's the biggest problem with them. I need a reason. I need a story. If I'm going to play a storyline game, I need a story to follow. I need a story. I need a reason to go do this menial task, right? Because in this game, she's like, hey, go plant this transmitter on this fucking thing. I'm like, fuck off. This is really annoying. But there could be another game, or if they did the storyline right, and that was actually compelling, and I wanted to find out what happened next. And they said, go plant this transmitter on the thing. I'd be like, okay, cool. I'm going to go do that right now because I really am interested in what happens next, right? Because that's good writing. Good writing makes you want to find out what happens next, gives you a reason to go plant that transmitter, to go climb up that rooftop, to go do this task, right? And to where the task doesn't seem, you can do an hour of menial tasks and spiraling fucking quests, but it doesn't seem wasteful because it's all meant for this one goal. And I know they tried really shittily to do that in this game because they introduced everything so fucking fast, right? Like you come in, you're all of a sudden you're Athena. Okay, she's being interrogated, and now she's discussing, which again, like let's talk about that. We should like it's like this whole like they decided to go on this like storytelling route where it was like, oh man, so Athena is captured, and now she's telling a story to these people who captured her. But I'm like, who's Athena? Why should I care? She's being interrogated. Why should I care? And I know that it's probably because I didn't play Borderlands 1, 2, 3, but again, it's like, if those games are written in the story pattern that this one is written in, I don't want to play those games. I don't want to play a game that wastes my time with a shitty written story, shitty loot box combat. That's what this is. When a gun shoots randomly, it's not a recoil pattern like Counter-Strike that's learnable. It's a random recoil. It's a randomized bullet pattern, so you can put the crosshair directly on a wall and shoot 10 times, and it hits directly on the crosshairs. Looking at it 2 times, a 20% getting perfect accuracy rating, right? It's bullshit. That's a bullshit way to make a game. And yeah, so I guess at the end of the day, what I'm pissed off about with this game is it's got a very, very, very slapstick, shitty fucking storyline. Very not that compelling acting, not that compelling fucking events that make me care about the game. The combat is extremely annoying and tedious. The way that the guns fucking work is the main problem, because the guns aren't a set, like it's a set like percentage accuracy based, and that's really fucking dumb. That's really fucking dumb. I find it actually super annoying. And it's because the way the game is designed, it isn't designed for me to sit behind a fucking crate and try to pop shots off, right? Because these guys are launching themselves around on jetpacks and getting to different angles very quickly. So if I'm trying to hide behind bins or try to fucking use cover, they're going to throw grenades at me, they're going to push me out, they're going to jump on me, they're going to do all these different things, and so I need to be mobile. But I can't be mobile because the guns don't hit their shots. So it ends up where I'm dying, not because I'm not like aiming perfectly good or I'm not moving good or I'm not doing these things, is because their shooting is 90 to 100% accurate, whereas my shooting is like 20, 30, 40% accurate, 50% accurate, and with this revolver is the most accuracy, but it's still like 70% accurate. And that's tedious. It's so stupid. It's a randomized, like, opening a loot box to get a shot off and hit an enemy. It's very annoying and insulting. It's insulting to the player when they slap a game like this together and throw it out at you and say, hey, play this shit, right? I'm like, no thank you. I would rather go play Shadow of War, realistically. And even a Shadow of War is another way. It's like, it was made insultingly for the gamers, right? Shadow of War is like, there's clearly problems where like people were like standing inside of each other, disappearing, appearing, like I can't, like, there's so many issues with Shadow of War. If I really wanted to, I could sit down, I could write up a whole big list, I could go through the game, review it, critique it, find out all of it, but I don't want to. It's just, there's nothing in it for me. I was doing this VIP fucking thing to kind of just see what I got out of it. And what I'm kind of starting to get this idea is that you get these games that other people don't want to play, right? And there's probably a reason that other people don't want to play it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it might be a $60 game, Shadow of War, but does that really matter when people don't really want to play it, right? This game, a $15 game, does that, like, no one wants to play it, okay? The Tyrant or whatever, Tyranny or whatever that game was that I was playing earlier, it's a shittily designed turn-based game, very shittily designed turn-based combat. Like, it's because it's not even turn-based. It's like half turn-based, half, and it's so stupid. You have this little like wind-up bar, and then you have to choose if you're gonna make turn-based, make turn-based, okay? Not some weird half-assed, half in between fucking bullshit, okay? Very frustrating. So far, with the 5 titles that I've purchased, 3 of them have actually just made me mad. At the end of the day, with at least in the Tyranny one, I was interested in the storyline. It was gripping and it was compelling, and it actually frustrates me that they made the combat so shitty, because I was actually interested in that one and wanted to see where the storyline went until it was such bad combat. Because like in this game, there's a similar problem to this game. The combat, if the combat is good, I can set aside a lot of the issues and enjoy the game regardless, right? Like, if this game had a different accuracy rate, a different system for just hitting shots, I want where I'm aiming to be, where the bullet goes. If this designed like Doom, where it's like, okay, yeah, we have a kind of shitty storyline, but we're going to focus on making the combat strategic and enjoyable, okay? Where I point the gun, I shoot the gun, no matter if I'm moving through the air, falling through the air, flying through the air, standing on the ground, moving on the ground, or driving in a vehicle, the bullet goes where the fucking gun is pointed, right? The crosshair is where that bullet is going to hit, right? If they made it like that, this game would be 20 times better and easily playable. Easily look past the weird menial tasks in the missions, the spiraling, the time syncness of it, how annoying and tedious a lot of this shit is. It would be so much easier to look past if the combat wasn't also shitty, right? I know there's probably a lot of people out there that really love and enjoy Borderlands combat. I don't. I think it's crap. I think it's terrible, right? Just like I think Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, terrible combat. Terrible. It is insulting to the player. That's the kind of combat it is. Like Batman, Arkham Asylum kind of shit, where you just tap a fucking button and the game does it for you. It's like click, 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 right click, block. Click, 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 click. Oh, spacebar, jump over this guy. Click, 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 right click, block. Click, 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 right click, block. Right? And enemies are just dying around you. Your guy is fucking flying around the fucking battlefield. It's like, see, bam, bam, bam. And you're just sitting there clicking. And then it's making this visual shit. And it's all like flashy and shit. And it's like meant to entertain 6-year-olds, I swear. Because they just have to press one button and enemies die, right? And sure, there's a market of gamers that enjoy that. Sure, there's a market of gamers that enjoy Batman Arkham Asylum. And I have to imagine that they're 10-year-olds or less, right? There are people they're kids who want to have some fun, just a flashy game, cool-looking combat, and not a lot of thought into it. Not a lot of needing to overcome obstacles. In my opinion, kids that young should be playing Zelda. Back when I played Zelda Ocarina of Time, played the Zelda puzzle-based games that would make my mind bend. It would piss me off because it was so difficult and frustrating at those ages, because it's like, how am I going to overcome these obstacles? How am I going to get past this? And it would take hours, and I would spend that time working on these problems, and then you'd come up with a solution, and you'd get past, and you would feel like you did something. And it was so rewarding, and it was so enjoyable to go through this process. I mean, and Elden Ring captured that really well, because it didn't, like Ocarina of Time, it didn't give you a roadmap. Like Ocarina of Time, I tell you what, when I had to trying to figure out even how to get to the water temple was a pain in the ass, because you had to teach that fucking Scarecrow the song as a kid and go back and play the same song as an adult. When I was younger and I first played that game, I had no idea that that's what you're supposed to do. I was running around for hours in the open world with no idea how to progress a storyline until I randomly was a teenager, went back to the same place, and figured it out. It just fell into my life. I figured it out organically with the game, and it was so rewarding. It felt like I did something, and I had to achieve. It's like Elden Ring. It doesn't really give you a roadmap. It kind of gives you direction with the map and the I guess you could call it arrows, right? The paths that lead you to the places that you need to go. But for the most part, it's up to you to figure shit out. You run across random NPCs, you run across random things, and you could start random quest lines, and there's no real guide. Like, you'll run across Alexander in random places across the map, and then all of a sudden you end up fighting him on that crap. I can't remember the Faramazul or whatever that island, right? I'm not good with names, whatever. But Elden Ring did a really good job of doing what Ocarina of Time did, and that's why it's going to go down in our minds as one of these massive, amazing games, kind of like Ocarina of Time. Any gamer that's a real gamer worth their salt knows Ocarina of Time and went through Water Temple and beat Water Temple and knows the struggle and the pain that thing was, but they also did it because it was compelling. It gave you a reason to want to get through it, and you felt like you did something when you achieved and you overcame it. And those are rare games. I will admit that. It's not like every single game is going to be that good. And we have to have... And here's the thing. This game, Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, Borderlands, pre-sequel, whatever, these games are important. Because when you play it, it makes you appreciate the good ones so much better, right? Because if you had all games were good games, then no games would be good games, right? So these are mediocre games at best, and that's being kind, right? Mediocre games, and they make you appreciate so much more when a game company, when a dev team does a game right. So you need these bad games, these kind of shitty games, these games that waste your time, that are annoying, that are pandering, that have no real story-driven content, that you don't have a reason to invest your time in. They seem like, why am I even doing this? Why should I even care, right? And then you get along and you find a Cyberpunk, right? Or you find a Witcher 3, or you find a Red Dead Redemption 2, or you find a Skyrim, or a Kingdom Come Deliverance, or you find one of these many, many really good games with great storylines, enjoyable. Like, yeah, they're not perfect. They have their problems. Witcher 3, the movement was so annoying. The horse mechanics, enough to make me like white knuckle. I'd get so upset, like it would just, and it was like these random times, and then the horse would just, the function of the movement was very frustrating in Witcher 3. I will say that. In Cyberpunk, there was the glitches. There's weird shit that happened, and you'd randomly die. You'd like step off a curb and you'd die, or like, okay, so Cyberpunk had a problem, but again, the storyline was so good that it was just go right through it. Kingdom Come Deliverance, there was a lot of menial tasks. You'd go around, do a lot of random shit where it wasn't fighting. You're like picking fucking plants, flowers, and doing all these different things, but it was so enjoyable because it was following Henry's life, and you were so interested in having that story play out in front of you. Anyways, I've gone off on a huge fucking tangent. Yeah, I'm done playing Borderlands, the pre-sequel. I'm done with the Shadow of War. I got Game Pass, and I'm definitely going to be making my way through Game Pass.